Ooh, baby, I'm mad as hell with y'all because while I've been out here trying to save the world and liberate minds, ain't nobody told me nothing about these medicine wives LA. Dr. Imani people, where is this lady husband? Quiet as it's kept. Jazmin, where the hell is your husband? Y'all want to talk about it? Here you go. Nelson girl, when it comes to Medicine Wives LA, I've been gone for a minute. Now I'm back with the jump off. This review is going to be of the last 3 episodes, despite the fact that I'm 4 episodes behind. And we going to call this, Have You Seen Her? Tell me, have you seen her? Have you seen him? Listen, the show, Dr. Imani is one of the characters that definitely sticks out because she has a striking physical presence, but baby, I didn't know you was finna stick out because you had a striking storyline, baby. Quiet as it's kept. While I was out here looking for Dr. Imani's husband, I fucked around and found her podcast. So listen, y'all already know, and the reason why I'm sharing this with y'all is because there's no secret. I've done a video series called My Brother is Schizophrenic, where I talk about mental health a lot. It affects me. It affects my family. I suffer with depression and anxiety. I also did the Kanye West video, and I was listening to Dr. Imani's podcast, and I thought it was something that was very worth sharing with y'all because so many people don't know where to start when it comes to mental health. It is overwhelming, it is intimidating, and it's an uncomfortable topic for a lot of people to talk about. But here's the gag, right? Because Dr. Imani is a character that we are familiar with on Married to Medicine, we kind of feel like we know her. She's our homegirl. She makes it kind of easier for people like me and you who watch these types of shows to break down and get down into mental illness. Her podcast is called The Imani State of Mind, brought to you by Stitcher, that breaks down mental health and wellness in an accessible and an approachable way. And y'all know we need that because especially in communities of color, mental illness is not talked about the way it should be. Half of us got crazy ass cousins and aunts, don't even know what the hell going on with them and just saying, yeah, I know how she is. Listen, I told y'all time and time again, my brother was sleeping in a car, an abandoned car, in my aunt's yard, not working, not taking a bath, walking the streets. And for the longest while, we were just like, leave him alone. He just being hard-headed. He just going against the grain. He's just doing all this. And if he wasn't bothering nobody, it was out of sight, out of mind. And unbeknownst to us, he was paranoid, schizophrenic, and he did not have the tools or the language to express that. And because we didn't know what was going on, we didn't know how to get him help. And luckily we did. I wish at that time that there would have been a podcast of such that could have helped me understand what the hell was going on. The show is hosted by Dr. Imani Walker, who's been practicing psychiatry for over 10 years. Y'all know her from the show, and she equips listeners, like I said, with the right language and the tools to normalize having these conversations and break down the stigma that involves mental health in the black community. It is also important for us to remember to practice self-care, to take care of ourselves. And we've got to keep our minds healthy and growing to keep fighting. So the Imani State of Mind, which is the name of her podcast, gives us the tools and the tips to navigate it all. Y'all can listen to Dr. Imani and her podcast, Imani State of Mind, now in Stitcher, Apple, or your favorite podcast app. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to put all the information down in the description box. And the gag is, honey, while you out here trying to help us with our mental health, Dr. Imani, I hope you spend some of your business because we should be concerned with your damn mental health. Quiet as it's kept. Your husband ain't screwed you in 5 years and his ass been in Oklahoma for over 5 damn months. We want to know what the team. Matter of fact, fuck all this medical shit, girl. You need to turn it into a gossip podcast. Anywho, 3 episodes ago, opened up with Imani crying in the kitchen to Britten. That's where I started. I woke up this morning at 3 o'clock for y'all. And instead of me watching my favorite genre of television, which is documentaries across Amazon Prime, Netflix, and or Hulu, I said, let me get down in my DVR. That's right, my DVR, and find out what the fuck going on with these medicine wife hoes. So, when I turned on my TV, Dr. Imani in her kitchen crying and carrying on, that Britten is sitting there trying to console her, and she tells us that her and Phil are separated, and they decided they're going to get a divorce. These first 2 episodes, I'm just going to hit the high button, hot topics, and I'm going to detail on the most recent episode. So, Britten tells her, are you going to tell the other girls? And she's like, I don't know, whatever the case may be. Her Imani mama come over and talk to her about the situation. And I love Dr. Imani's mom because she's like, listen, you need to tell Idris, you need to tell him sooner than later. Ain't no need of dragging it on. And she was like, you need to tell your homegirls. They were speculating about your business, and they was right. I love old people wisdom because she was like, why you around here worrying about what they were thinking? What they were thinking is absolutely right. So what in the hell is you running for? Okay, that's the dinner I'm trying to do. And speaking of dinner, Jazmin was dead ass wrong for going and embarrassing Kendra at that table, taking that cornbread off her plate. There's a subtle way to do things. And Jazmin, you try to take that lady from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. And you can't expect somebody to undo 30-something years of eating one way and overnight be eating bird food and rabbit food. Quiet as it's kept, Jazmin, I don't think the average health person, and I got a lot of health people, I don't fuck with a lot of health people and a lot of trainers, baby. You must not know by me. You must not. My milkshake bring all the boys to the yard. You see I won the sexy leg contest. I know what I'm talking about. And all the trainer boys, I don't fool out loud with all between my legs and my butt. They eat meat with seasoning on it, okay? Now they eat it in moderation. Nobody wants to eat white breast chicken with no seasoning on it. That defeats the whole purpose. And yes, you do look good, but quiet as it's kept, you have to look good because that seems to be the only thing that you have to offer the world. Nevertheless, that girl ain't fighting for her life the same way you are. She got a medical degree, so she could be fat, sloppy, and everything from east to west, ass and titties all over the place, and she still could live a nice, lavish life because she got this. See, yours is a little bird brain base. So you need this in order to get a man, in order to live like this. And we understand God give us all what we need to survive. He gave you a non-sophisticated palate and a nice body, and he gave her a lot of body and the brain. Get it how you live. Work ain't honest, but it do what, y'all? It pays the bills. Just got Annie buys cornbread. Kendra, go on down there and get you some Jiffy. Put you 2 tablespoons of sugar in there and stir it up, honey. Stir it up. Hobart and Kendra go out to dinner. This is very interesting because society and television teaches us that once people get money, they don't have no problems and they're not supposed to have no problems, right? And, I know a lot of working class women who would say, I would love the opportunity for me to be able to sit on my ass for a year or 2 with the kids, with the babies, and my husband take care of everything. But let's face it, everything is going up except the wages. It's high out here and hard out here for a pimp. So because of that, a lot of people are forced to go back to work earlier than they would prefer. And here it is, Kendra's got the option to sit home for a year, but she doesn't want to. Now, I will say this, and I may be out of pocket for saying so. And I think Hobart kind of mentioned it. It kind of does feel like Kendra is trying to escape her baby. Like, Kendra, it's starting to feel like you had a baby to fulfill the image, but you ain't really pressed about playing with that damn baby. Like, and don't get me wrong, different strokes for different folks, but most of the mommies I know, they be wanting to stay home for a year, and they be crying because, this was their first day back at work, and they so used to being around their baby, and it just seemed like you got some Tiffany from Insecure shit going on. You postpartum, and I'm not joking about it, but you just trying to run the hell away from your baby. You like, child, fuck this baby, I'm finna go back to work for 10 hours a day. You better let the damn nanny deal with it, or Hobart mammy, or quiet as it's kept. Y'all make enough money, let messy ass Mama Joyce come right there and deal with it. And baby, if you really want your baby to have it going on, call Mama D, baby. She'll teach your baby everything she need to know and cook for you, feed you all the cornbread and everything you need to keep you satisfied. You and Hobart. Mama D entertain Hobart while your ass at work, quiet as it's kept. But no, It does feel extreme, but I also feel like Hobart is not listening to her, and Hobart is projecting a lot of fears on her. You're gonna be tired, you're gonna come home, you're gonna have an attitude. It's like, damn, you haven't even given this lady an opportunity yet. So I definitely understand why she had an attitudinal problem with what was going on down to the dinner, and she was not even hungry. So then Dr. Imani has the girls over to her house, and she tells the girls that she's getting a divorce. You know, I'm going to tell you one thing that I appreciated about this episode. It's so hard sometimes to see people's worth and their value, especially when they are thrust in an ensemble of highly educated women, and so much emphasis is put on intelligence and career and status, right? But in this group of homegirls, I truly got to see in this episode Shanique's purpose. Everybody can't be the boss bitch entrepreneur. You do need somebody who is a bit more emotionally intelligent and in tune with feelings, and who can be there to soften the blows of life. And Shanique stepped in and supported Imani in an intimate way that was needed, and it was genuine. Now Jazmin with her whole what, like, girl, you being over dramatic. But we did later see that in the kitchen, Jazmin was crying because, you know, she was emotional, and it is sad whenever a family unit dissolves, at least, you know, per divorce or whatever the case may be. So shouts out to Shanique for stepping in. You know, I read a comment somewhere in the Married to Madison Facebook group, LA. They were like, you know, shit, they introduced us Lia as Imani's friend, and that's how she got in the fold. But Lia, her own friend, didn't even know that she was having marital problems and getting a divorce. It does have me side-eyeing, because Lia looked like she didn't know what the hell was going on. But now that I think about it, I think Imani was more so friends with Lia's husband and just kind of acquainted with Lia, I guess. Anywho, shouts out to Shanique for being supportive. Imani talks to her son. That scene where Imani, they didn't show us her telling the son, but they showed us the aftermath when she's at the computer and she's talking to him. I will say I highly respect the way Imani's mother speaks with her and the way Imani speaks with her son. And I am also proud and respect and impressed with how mature and I don't want to say well-spoken and articulate, because people used to do that to me all the time as a young black man, and honestly, it's the biggest insult, as if I'm supposed to speak dumb because I'm black and I'm young. But I want to say, I think mature is a good word, and how in tuned he is with himself and what is going on around him, which are adult issues. Like, he spoke so well about his feelings and where he was, and I was very impressed with him, because at his age I was not equipped with the tools nor the words to express myself as eloquently as he did to be a young man. So shouts out to that phenomenal black man in the making. And Imani, if you ain't got one thing, you might not have got that marriage right, but you got rearing that damn child right. You get a yes God from me for that. They get down to Palm Springs, and they had the shaman down there. Baby Britten had me laughing when she said, would you want a Jedi, somebody dressed like a Jedi, blowing and huffing and puffing all on you? Now listen, y'all, clearly that's got to be long before the corona or when it just got started, because if it wasn't, he had gave it to her all in her head, all between her legs and her butt. Her bike probably broke out, and everything in between. You see, black people don't play with that spiritual shit. Long as I got King Jesus, long as I got King Jesus, long, don't need nobody else. Black people don't play with nobody else. We don't play with witchcraft, we don't play with Ouija boards, we don't play with hoodoo, voodoo, and bitch, we damn sure ain't got no Indian friends, so we don't know shit about no goddamn shaman. Nevertheless, I was interested. I liked it. It's got me wanting to look into shamanism even more. Pardon my ignorance, if that's what it's even called. Indianism. I'm ignorant, y'all. I went to black church, okay? I sunk his eyes on the sparrow and fully committed. I don't know about the shaman and I don't know nothing about that, but I am ready and willing to learn if you ready to teach me or whatever Google tells you. But I did like it. It was funny as hell. So they get down to the table, down to the Palm Springs, and Imani tells us how, you know, basically it was a red flag when her husband told her, I could grow to love you. And she spoke about, you know, in that moment when she got with her husband, she wanted security and a father figure for her son. This brings me to a very valid point that I tend to make, and a realization that I found in my own life about me being single. I am of the belief that many times people get in need-based relationships, right? What do I mean? You know, oh, I only make $45,000 a year, but he's a professor, he make $110,000 a year. This is a good match for me because I be able to live a nice lifestyle with him. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, I ain't never have no daddy and this man is safe and secure. He gives me that feeling. This is a good match for me. Or I come from a shitty family and he comes from a very loving family. I always want that. This is a good match for me. Oftentimes, and it goes both ways, guys and girls, people do that. I find myself being so whole, being single, that when I meet somebody, it's like, okay, ooh, you got money, that don't do nothing for me. Ooh, you got a good family, that don't do nothing for me. Ooh, you got a nice place to stay, that don't do nothing for me. I guess that's why, I'm making this about me, I guess that's why I find it hard to date or to even find interest in other people. Because I'm like, bitch, I don't need nothing you got. I already told y'all all a man could do is eat my ass and buy me drinks. And I mean that. And quiet as it's kept, I could buy my own damn drinks, but it just feels better after somebody buy you drinks and then eat your ass with their money and their time, and preferably in their bed. Because then when I finish, I can get up and drive home, wet ass and all. Nevertheless, get out my business. I'm finna be more like Jazmin and start telling y'all hoes all my business because y'all love to use it against me. But that did make me think of that point, need-based relationships. Then Britten begins to talk about her and Matt and how she loves the feeling of being needed. And how, you know, she prefers her son in her bed over her husband. You know, as much as I don't want it to happen, I really feel like Britten, more so than Matt, is not interested in a relationship anymore. And she's just finding the softest, most gentlest way to normalize this. Because I imagine they want to stay together for optics, they want to stay together for children, they want to stay together for the finances of it all, but I'm just not really into you like that. Because, listen, when you want a man, when you want your man, it don't feel like work, baby. It don't feel, you put that child in that damn bed, or you do what other people do, let that child fall asleep and pick their ass up and put them in that damn bed until they get their ass out that damn bed. And baby, you sitting there with a pillow over your face and you hoop and holler and fuck your man till the sun come up. And I already done told Brittany she better do it before I do, okay? Because I ain't got no morals or no values. Maybe that's the real reason why my ass single, because the men could tell I ain't shit. No, I'm classy and I'm trying to change my life. That's why I'm listening to the podcast, to get to the root of my own single illness. And anywho, you know, they do the whole stripper thing, which was so tacky. That was the latest, most tired, most undervalued, need to go back to dance school stripper imaginable. And bitch, I didn't even see no kind of dingling. I mean, I don't know if they made him tuck it in his ass and he double backed as a drag queen at night and a stripper by day. I don't know what it was, but I don't want it no more. And then they go to breakfast the following morning, and Imani shares that she has not been intimate with her husband in 5 years. You know, y'all don't ask the right question, because the follow-up question would be for me, well, if you wasn't intimate with your husband in 5 years, who husband was you intimate with? Because baby, one thing, what you not finna do is lay up in my house, and I'm not finna have no whole man and cobwebs and dust and stuff be accumulating in between my legs and in my butt. That is not what we doing. And I can assure you, if he ain't put his ding-a-ling in you in 5 years, he don't put it in somebody else. And that's just true tea. It was an old lady sitting under a tree. She called me over, and that's what that bitch told me about you and your man. Yes, God. So anyway, we get to the final episode, the most recent episode. Jazmin begins harassing Kendra on this pedal bike thing. You know, it was uncomfortable, Jazmin going up and down, like stand on top of her. There's a way to give somebody, listen, if you gotta force somebody into change, that's not change. That's them doing something under dictatorship, and then when you're not around, they're just gonna revert to doing whatever it is they want to do. You know, I appreciate Jazmin's effort, but in reference to her being a trainer and being a coach, that is not the way, you know, you do a slow and steady start. Slow and steady wins the race. Not to mention, sugar is 200 times more addictive than cocaine. It's either 200 or 2,000. And so to expect somebody, you know, a lot of times when you're craving juice and craving these different things, that is your body and your brain craving sugar. You can't expect somebody to just give up all sugar overnight the way you did. It is slow and gradual. I can tell you, I'm the same way. I used to drink a lot of sodas. I used to drink a lot of juice. And then I had to do stuff like just outright not buy it, right? And so sometimes I'll go 2 or 3 days of just drinking water straight. And on that 4th day, it'd be like, bitch, I just need a sip. I will literally walk to the little corner store on the end of my street, and I just have to get a Snapple and just take a swig of the Snapple, just because my body rejects that. My body said, bitch, I need some sugar. Something else that I like to do to help me with my water intake is I'll get the Publix lemonade, and I'll put, if I got, you know, if I'm drinking a big glass cup, I'll put, you know, half lemonade, half water. I mean, listen now, when I went to Florida State University and got my degree in economics, them people ain't teach me nothing about dietetics. I don't know if that's healthy. I don't know if that's helping me with my water intake, but I would like to think that it is, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something, bitch. Not to mention, I started taking my NutriBurst and my detox tea, and yesterday I incorporated my NRG pills as well to give me more energy, and I'm gonna tell y'all about that later. Nevertheless, you know, you have to find gradual ways. You know, something else I do when I go to dinner and I get my dessert, my espresso, I used to load it up with sugar. I don't flavor my tea anymore with sugar. I use lemon juice, and I use just a small dab of honey, but sometimes I just do lemon juice. It's gradual. It is gradual. And Jazmin has got to recognize that this girl is not finna lose all this weight and just be no fitness guru overnight. Some people just ain't into that shit. I'm one of them. Listen, just as long as I can keep wearing my shorts and winning the sexy leg contest, bitch, I ain't going to no gym lifting weights. Bitch, ain't nobody got no time. That shit hurt. It hurt, it's heavy, and I ain't trying to be musty. Okay? Just as long as them niggas still hollering, and when I walk past, they say, psst, Slim Goody. That's all that matters. And when they stop hollering, then maybe then I kept my ass down the valleys of LA Fitness. But until then, in the meantime, in between time, bitch, okay, I am Miss Juneteenth and the winner of the sexy leg contest. And I ain't been in the gym in over 5-6 years. Yeah. Kendra, do you, boo? If Hobart like it and he ain't complaining, then you shouldn't either. And hell, quiet as hell. We don't even know if Jazmin got a damn man. At least you got one. And we gonna get to that later. No, matter of fact, we finna get to it now. No, we finna get to it later. But yeah, Jazmin was harassing her. And I do love the fact that they were able to fuss it out and then be like, look, let's just split this up, because you being my coach is gonna jeopardize our friendship, and it's more important for us to be friends in this friend group. So they get to the dinner table, and Shanique talks about the gift that she got from Imani. You know, there are not many times that I've agreed with Jazmin and Shanique in the course of our relationship, but Imani, that gift was some bullshit. Girl, you started a goddamn 7-Eleven on your way in and you picked up anything in it damn show. You'd been better off getting that good $25 Visa gift card. At least she could have spent it at the place of her choice. That horn was some bullshit. I can't think of one tangible, logical place in anyone's life for them to have one of them damn things unless they at Carnival. And then let me tell you how lazy it was. You didn't get the big one, bitch. If you gonna get me one, bitch, get the big one. You got the small one, girl. I mean, you literally spent $5.99 for that shit, while you got $20 on number 3 and a pack of double mint gum and a Red Bull on your drive to Palm Springs. Do better. So I don't blame Shanique for saying what it is she said about the situation. But then, you know, Jazmin got to run out her mouth about people being open. And, you know, something that kind of upset me about the table scene is Jazmin was the main one talking about she wanted to be friends with Imani at the beginning of the season. It was working hard to be friends with Imani, and I'm trying to be friends with you. But on the flip side of things, when they called your ass on the fact that they know nothing about your husband, other than the first letter of his name, you got all quiet and defensive. And it's like, ho, wait a minute now. Are you trying to be friends, or you just trying to be friends? But TSC told us, what about your friends? Will they let you down? Bring they man around. Hey, oh. Real man. It's right. And then he on a regime. And then it's like the excuses that you use just are not acceptable. He's on a regime. And I'm like, girl, here she go, girl. Stick to fashion. And girl, maybe if you ate some seasoning, your brain could comprehend what you read and what you hear better. He's on a regiment, you know, synonymous with routine, schedule. But let me tell you something. Ain't that much busy in the world, okay? That's just like when a nigga tell you, you know, oh, why you didn't call me? I was busy. People do things. People make time for things they want to make time for. Your husband is not interested in, listen, I'm not going to be presumptuous and assume anything. However, I just want to say that, Jazmin, you cannot get upset, and it is not unreasonable for the average person to assume y'all have something to hide, okay? You can say what you want, you can mask it however you need to mask it, but there is a piece of this puzzle that you are not telling. There is a truth that you are not telling. In my 36 years on this earth, I have learned this lesson inside and out. When things don't make sense, it's because they don't make sense. All right? And there could be a very small explanation that makes this all go away, which is simply he don't want to do the show. He don't like y'all. He don't want to be a part of this. That could be this very simple answer, and that makes it all make sense. But this whole he's on a regime, that don't work for me, sis. You know, and then it looks like on the next episode you got security blocking the people from going upstairs. It's funny because you are giving smoke and mirrors, and while you may argue it's your life, you got the right to tell whatever you want to tell. You absolutely do. But we also have the right to critique the fuck out of what you choose to tell and to scrutinize the dog fuck out of it to our heart's content. Because the shit don't make no sense. Now fight me if you bad, or send your invisible husband to do something about it. Hobart meets with the guys, and the guys school him on telling Kendra, you know, what she can and cannot do about work. And especially, you know, they brought up, especially being a black woman, work is her voice, so on and so forth. And I think that there's something that's worth mentioning. You know, oftentimes when you are, and for so long have been an invisible part of society, you know, you want to be seen. You want your impact to be felt. When you were powerless for so long, and I'm talking about black people and women of color as a whole, Hobart, something that you should be able to understand on one level or another. So she's like, no, I am smart and I fought hard to be a doctor. I don't want to be reduced to just some stay-at-home mom. And not that anything is wrong with that, because there are people who choose to do that. Let me tell you something, baby. You know, quiet as it's kept, I wish Hobart stepped in my damn life and told me to stay home for a year. I say a year? Just a year? Shit, it's hard. I'm tired of paying bills. Nevertheless, they told his ass right, and it looks like they did get through to Hobart, and hopefully the next time he and Kendra have a conversation about the situation, that it will be slightly, the issue will be slightly tapered or whatever. They get down to the drag bar. That was the dustiest, most senior citizen Shady Pines ass drag bar that I've ever known. They need to call the Atlanta girls and find out what the real tease is. And then last but not least, Kendra talks to the ladies about what she was doing with Hobart in the job. And you know, Britten and Jazmin were telling her, you know, you were kind of wrong, and you were kind of wrong in my opinion. I think that you should have fought your point until he gave in. And I do understand Kendra's logic of saying she went on the interview because she wanted to get all the information about what was going on, because he was going to ask 1,000,001 questions. But to just go and be like, I'm taking the job and signing the contract, that is a bit extreme. Y'all, that's all I got. Ain't got no more. I am caught up on this. Y'all be sure to check out Dr. Imani's podcast. And I'm actually going to put a snippet or the trailer at the end of this video starting now. Call you later, girl. Bye.
While there is still no word on a cure for the virus,
I just wanna drop it, hello.
Let's breathe in and breathe out. We're about to get into an Imani state of mind. I'm Dr. Imani Walker. I've been practicing as a psychiatrist for over 10 years. I grew up in Harlem, and I remember my block, which was on 19th Street, was a little community. We all banded together to make sure that everybody was good. That's really how I try to be with my patients. I want to make sure that everybody can find someone like me to help with their issues. I know that so many of y'all don't know where to start when you want to talk about your mental health. On Imani State of Mind, I'm going to have those conversations with you.
What are the best practices for establishing boundaries in the home between an aging parent who is sheltering in place with an adult child because of COVID? I'm an empty nester and haven't been a full-time caregiver in quite some time. Oof, what a question.
What a question. So I think creating a schedule, posting it on the refrigerator or on a whiteboard where everyone can see, obviously it's going to take yourself, your parents to get used to it. But in this time of COVID, I think the most important thing for us to do as people is to maintain a schedule. Okay, listen, I get it. I don't just treat patients. I deal with my own issues. So I know it takes work to feel better. I was definitely unaware of my own mental illness. Now, I just want to say, this is coming from a psychiatrist, and it didn't have to do with stigma. It more so had to do with the fact that I lacked insight, right? So my insight as someone able to look at myself objectively was poor. Taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of your body. Think of Imani's State of Mind as your beacon of sanity on that journey, so you don't end up diagnosing yourself on the internet late at night. As a doctor, I know that if I go to Google, it's going to be like, oh, you have PMDD, you're taking Prozac, you're going to die. Take a deep breath with me, because we're in this together. Imani's State of Mind premieres June 25th. Subscribe now in Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen.